Tonight at Junction City, McDonald's manager says they have video showing it wasn't their employee who put offensive writing on a police officer's coffee cup. You're looking at the picture right now. The Junction City McDonald's receiving national attention after the Harrington police officer says he received this coffee. Now, we have blurred out the F word, but below you can see it also says pig. Now, KSNT News reporter Dan Garrett is live in Junction City after talking with the Harrington police chief. He explains how the investigation is going in a story you'll only see on KSNT News. Dan.
Mackenzie, when management at this McDonald's heard about what happened, they offered the officer a free meal. Now, Chief of Police Brian Hornaday just wants to know why someone would write that, and he's working to get to the bottom of it. A Harrington police officer stopped at this McDonald's like he does most days to get a cup of coffee. When he got the cup, he says this is how it looked. We have blurred out the first word for sensitivity to our viewers. Police Chief Brian Hornaday wrote on Facebook about his anger, saying the U.S. veteran that continues to serve deserves much more.
We deal with enough frustration in our daily duties every day. To have something like this start off your work day while you're driving to the place where you're going to serve the citizens is just very frustrating.
Hornaday spent yesterday at the McDonald's looking at security tapes, but they didn't find what they were looking for.
The video evidence did not show or not show whether or not an employee of McDonald's had written that on the receipt.
Today, however, Hornaday says the owner of the McDonald's told him they found new video that proves it wasn't their employee. They told Hornaday they would bring the clip by today, but after hours of waiting, they didn't come because of snowy roads. They called him this evening, saying they would show him the video tomorrow.
Acknowledgement that something is done wrong is kind of what we always want, whether it's something like an incident like this that happened at McDonald's or if it's something in the criminal justice system.
I called the owner of this McDonald's to see if he could show me the video, and he said he wants to give Hornaday the opportunity to see it first. And within the hour, they did give me this written statement, and it says, "My McDonald's have the utmost respect for all members of law enforcement and the military, and we're troubled by the accusations made. And we thoroughly reviewed all security video from every angle, which clearly showed the words were not written by one of our employees. We look forward to working with Chief Hornaday as he continues his investigation, and we will continue to follow this story as it develops." Live in Junction City, Dan Garrett, KSNT News.
Thanks, Dan, for keeping us updated on that. Well, Chief Hornaday says he is conducting an internal investigation of his own, but stands by his officer.
The coffee cup controversy is over tonight, and a local police officer is out of a job. It's a story we were first to tell you about here on KSNT. Just hours ago, we learned a Harrington police officer resigned. Police say he made up a story about a Junction City McDonald's employee handing him a coffee with offensive language written on it. Turns out the now former officer was the one who actually wrote it.
Once you damage your integrity, you are done. You will not work in this profession ever again.
And KSNT News reporter Dan Garrett has been following this story since this weekend. Dan was at the press conference tonight where a McDonald's official and the Harrington police chief shared what really happened.
The press conference took place at this McDonald's, the same place where the story all began. But now one McDonald's employee's reputation is safe while one officer is off the force. This is the coffee the Harrington police officer claimed to get from a Junction City McDonald's. We blurred one of the words for sensitivity to our viewers. Today, Police Chief Brian Hornaday says the officer made up the whole story and wrote the mean comment on his own cup. During a press conference, Chief Hornaday explained what the officer told him when he asked why he did this.
This was meant to be a joke. However, we can see that how something so serious can get so out of control very, very quickly.
The chief would not name the officer, citing personnel reason, but said he is 23 years old and had only been with the department for 2 months.
Rules are pretty tricky where that goes, so we want to ensure that we do not cross any of those boundaries of employee rights. It's not a matter of us not wanting to tell you who it is, because we have no reason whatsoever to protect the former officer at all.
The McDonald's at the center of the controversy told us after reviewing their security footage, it proved no employees were involved. A spokesperson for the McDonald's, Lenore Brazzi, says their investigation is done and is now in the police department's hands.
Well, we're glad that the evidence confirmed our evaluation that the McDonald's and our employees, crew members, were absolutely not involved. We stand with our community in being disappointed about these actions.
Chief Hornaday says after grilling the officer, he finally confessed. Hornaday says other departments will likely use this example in training.
I truly hope that the former officer of the Harrington Police Department that did this, I hope he understands the magnitude of the black eye that this gives the law enforcement profession from coast to coast.
The chief says he spoke to the Dickinson County District Attorney to see if there were any repercussions the officer could face for lying, and at this point it doesn't seem like he will be facing any charges. In Junction City, Dan Garrett, KSNT News.
New at 6, local law enforcement is taking a closer look at social media tonight. This after a local police chief jumped to conclusions. First, blaming McDonald's for giving his officer a cup of coffee with a derogatory message on it. Then later saying the officer made the whole thing up. KSNT News broke the story, and tonight Raina Garcia is in Junction City to tell us how it's causing other law enforcement to review their policies.
The Geary County Sheriff has been watching the coffee cup controversy very closely, and he's talking with his deputies about the national embarrassment the situation brought to this part of the state. When the Harrington police chief took to Facebook to address the incident, it blew up on social media. But when those claims turned out to be false, the damage was already done. KSNT News was the first to report the police chief deleted the post. He's also removed himself and his agency from Facebook altogether.
I assure you that I will often question my decision about posting anything on social media because of the impact that it could have.
The hoax happened in Junction City. That's where Geary County Sheriff Daniel Jackson and his deputies are showing support for the McDonald's, where employees were receiving threats after the hoax was initially reported. The sheriff says a lot can be learned from this situation, specifically the power of social media.
We have talked about this, and especially with the command staff, we've talked about this, mentioning, like I said, about making sure before we reach out on social media on anything that we know what we're talking about and making sure that it's been vetted.
Sheriff Jackson went on to say that it's imperative for leaders in law enforcement to think twice before posting to social media because it could create even more problems. In Junction City, Raina Garcia, KSNT News.